Hello, welcome to Flooring Models, kit review time. Today we've got Airfix's new 1/72 scale. This is the AV8BA Harrier. Now, as you can see, we've got a little bit of a collection here. Airfix did a bit of a blinder for us, and they've actually retooled, re-engineered and brought us decent Harrier kits in 1/72 scale. So obviously we've got these ones, we reviewed them earlier, you can see them on the site along with this one now. So we've got down here, which is very close to this one, is obviously the GR1. This was the RAF version. Or the British version, the first one that came out, okay. We've got the GR3, which we reviewed as well, which is basically an upgrade. Then obviously we've got the C Harrier, and then this is the FA2, got the FRS1 as well. So you've got a nice collection of Harriers, and now they've brought us this one as well. Okay, so as you can see, lovely box art on the front, and as you can probably tell, it's not a million miles away from the actual RAF version, okay. So this was basically the upgraded version that went over to the States for them, and obviously for the Spanish one as well, hence we get both in the thing. So new designation, this one it became the AV8A, and then later on obviously we did AV8B version. So quick thing around the box, not a lot going on to be honest, the usual fit. Your kit number is A04057. Little things about the markings down there. So we've got the Matadors of 008 from 1982, Spanish one, and 1976 for, who is this one? VMA 513 with US Marines. So having a look in the box, as I say, these little kits are absolutely brilliant these days. They're very, very nice. I haven't looked in here, but I can imagine it's very, very similar to the kit that we've got over there. Okay, so usual way of doing it, we've got one bag with it all sort of crammed in, and then down here we should find the decals, which I'll have a look at the moment, and our instruction sheet. Okay, so we're going to pull this out just a little bit out. There we go. So down in here, usual way when you're going through the instructions with these. So obviously we've got the cockpit, starting with there doing the tub. It's always going to be pretty sort of, you know, basic. So we've got photo etch, sorry, not photo etch, decals, I do believe. Are they decals? Can't see down there, but I have to look at that. So we've got for the panels, it looks like which are going to go on for your instruments down there. The cockpit, which obviously is a decal for the instrument panel. Pilot, and then obviously we've got the intake well, which seems to be the same way every Harrier kit is done. Okay, then we got that giant Pegasus fan blade system being dropped in there. Quite a nice way of doing it. Open up for the stand, which is separate, as we all know. Two halves going together. I say if you are doing the stand, don't forget to open up the holes. Okay, nice, good, strong one-piece tail system, which is better than certainly is on the FA2 and even the 148 one I'm doing at the moment because it's horrible. Okay, showing you deflection angles from 19 degrees. Tail being sat on the back. Okay, then you've got the aft nozzle radar warning receiver. I don't even know have one of those in those days, but lighting system definitely. And then we've got to make a small little hole, obviously for the nav light, lower wing section going on, that entire wing section going in at the top, and then depending on, which is a lovely touch with these, if you want it in sort of in-flight pose, perhaps with the sort of the vent doors on the side, the blow-in doors on the side, if you want them open or closed. So you do get the option, which is a lovely touch, because obviously if it's on the ground, powered down, you want them open, or if you were in a sort of hover type thing, you want them open. If it's going forward flight and everything else like that, you want them closed. You got your choice of your weapon fit, how it's going to go through here, so depending on what you've got, different rail systems, aid and gun pods, which obviously is a must with any Harrier. Okay, and then obviously just working down, you've got the blast shields for the side, from the nozzles, okay, and then positioning of the nozzles, how you want them, so obviously you can do them full stop, obviously 90 degrees down, 45 degrees for V-stall, and then, you know, straight back for normal flight. Wheels going on. Nice little thing with these, they're actually quite strong the way they lock in, which is quite a nice touch. Okay, and no problems with those. And then obviously you do have the choice to have in flight or obviously down, which is more than the kinetic one, which I'm doing at the moment. Speed brake, obviously fully deployed. Obviously if it's down, it's a sort of relaxed position versus in-flight position. Okay, so you've got those. Speaks about them down there as well. And then obviously fuel tanks and weapons fit are being fitted on. Heads-up display, canopy glass going in. A little bit fiddly the way that that goes in. But then generally that's pretty standard with the Harrier fleet. And then obviously the aerials, all your lumps and bumps and everything else going in the back. And then we've got down here that great scheme, the very sort of 70s, 80s scheme of the wraparound, well, half camo on top with the on the bottom, or the Matador one, which is a lovely colour scheme as well, which is the Spanish navy one. Again, very nice. So decals, as you can imagine, we have those down here. Not too bad at all. We've spoken about it before. Airfix have really got there now. Their decals are as good as anybody else's, as simple as that. Years ago, terrible, wouldn't even touch them, wouldn't even look at them because you knew they'd be out of register and horrible. Decals now are pretty much spot on. So the kit itself is actually quite a bit of plastic for 1/72. As you can see, it's a good old chunk of plastic in here. Shame it's all one bag, so just be careful you don't have any bits running around loose in there. We've got the cockpit we'll look at in a moment, but as you can see down here, we just brought this camera down. As you can see, you've got full recessed panel line detailing all the way along. Now, a lot of people always say that these are quite heavy and a little bit overdone. I sort of disagree. I think panel lining has a scale effect where if you go any thinner than that, then what's going to happen is you're just going to lose them. I think this is about as thin as you can go. So obviously, you know, in 1/48 scale, they look about perfect. On 1/72, they look a bit heavily done. But I think by the time you've painted it and everything else, that's about what you're going to get, okay? We have got a couple of ejector pin marks down here, you might see in the actual intake system, but generally I don't think that's a problem. You're not really going to see those, the way that they curve around and everything else. There's your wheels up and down. It's nice that we've got weighted wheels, so that's a nice touch. So in flight, obviously they're not weighted, but when they're on the ground, they're actually weight on wheels, which is a nice touch. One piece, no it's not actually, they are two piece. Funny way of doing it. Exhausts, which are a bit of a pain, but should be a straightforward fit and a polished job. Nice detailing on the pylons as well, control grip, aerials, things like that. The intakes, outer intakes look quite nicely done. So we got on the inside some nice detail, a little bit of framework, which is nice to see on a 1/72 scale kit right the way through. Generally, no real flash absolutely anywhere. The plastic feels a little bit more solid and crispier than some of their other kits. It may be because it's just a smaller sprue, but it certainly feels a little bit better. Right, okay, so we've got the upper wing surface. As you can see here, you can see some of that detail right the way over. Now, it's not a common wing system on these ones because I did have somewhere, here it is, this is the FRS1 which I sort of did, and you can see this isn't just a common wing. You might notice there is differences between the two, the way that the actual puffer jets on the side work, okay, and obviously this little guy down here is a one-piece wing system. This one you do have the option down here having the slats on the back, okay, so it's slightly different how this one hangs out on the FA2, because this is the FA2 kit for this one, so there is differences. It's not like it's just a generic Harrier and they've thrown them all in. Obviously fences on the wings are in place and everything else like that. So generally some nice detail down there, some nice detail even right the way down into the actual wheel wells for the outriggers as well. Nicely done there. A little bit of the seat there, obviously we've got a nice sort of bulge for the actual wheel system, so that's very good. Generally quite nice, no problems. Even the smaller little parts nicely done, very crisp. The vortex generators on top of the wings, they're very sharp, very nice, very crisp. Okay, we've got the other half of the wing system down here. So we've got the fuel tanks, we've got the aid and gun pods as you can see, and we've got these doors, and this is what we were talking about. You might see that some of them are quite thick, some of them diffuse. This is so when it's upwards they fall in, so you can show you on this guy. As you can see, the bottom ones are out, the top one's in. It's just gravity where they've fallen in, okay, because they're not on mass springs that hold them open. They are literally just flapping around in the wind, so to speak. All right, and there we go. So other half, as you can see, slightly different on this one, the way it goes in, but generally the same. We've got the detail and the parts, fuel pods, the nose, which is taking a little bit of a hit, it's a little bit bent, okay, in there like that. Okay, this is the back. So the wheel well main one goes in here, but the doors are shut. That's how they should be. And for the nose, a lot of manufacturers have them open. Actually, that's wrong because all the debris and crap goes up in there, can cause damage. That's why they close. Bulkhead for the rear of the cockpit, some nice little detail on there for something so small. This is that one piece tail, which I do like. Say the kinetic one is awful, the way they've done that. But generally, again, lovely details. These little details like down in here. This is the actual main gear wheel well, sorry, the front wheel well for the nose wheel. Very nice. As you can see, weight on wheels. You got down here. So this is the nose wheel here, and then obviously you've got the other ones. You know, nice one piece. The details there, you know, especially in 1/72, I think that's really, really good. These are those blast panels for the heat shields for the engines, for the rear nozzles. They're very nicely done. The rockets, the rocket pods themselves, actually very, very nice. Okay, no problem with any of that. Generally, very good. And even down to the blade, which you're not going to see massively in there, but some nice, sharp, crisp detail on it. Okay, last couple. So this is the actual sidewinder rails. Okay, for the outside, obviously we've got the other pylons for doing the standard sort of thing. So you've got the difference there. Bits of the sidewinders, the refueling probe, you know, which, was it standard on them by then? I don't know if it's actually standard on the actual aircraft by then. I think it might have been, the Marines took it on. And then sidewinder, so you've got the rest of it there. The rest of those rocket pods, these are the big Zuni type rockets. I don't know if they actually carried those. Was it the Zuni rocket they carried? Was it big enough? But definitely there. But even the actual sidewinders, very nice, very sharp detail. We've got the sides of the seats there and all those bits. That's quite nice. Okay, so the actual cockpit glass itself, if it's like the others, it should be very nice. So yeah, actually not too bad at all. When you look at all of that, that isn't too bad. It's actually quite a nice, clean, crisply moulded cockpit glass. So you've got your heads-up display, a couple of little nav lights, and away you go. And really, you know, for 72nd, it's still really, really good. And it's something I've spoken about on Airfix reviews recently. We did a few last week. You get a lot more. No longer, you know, I was dealing with 1/48 scale, which had detail in those kits of really a 1/32, full cockpit, things like that. These guys now, for a 1/72 kit, they're more like a 1/48. You've got that level of detail is now going up with each and every one. So there we go, that is the next one in the fleet. That is the Aviate-A. That's hoping that they're going to continue this and we're going to get some nice 72nd stuff coming along as well. You know, the Aviate-B and all the different variants will be absolutely lovely. But that is going to complete your sort of Harrier family, as I've got it down here now, all in 1/72 by Airfix. These are beautiful little kits, well worth the money and well worth your time putting together.